The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Klamath County Fire District Number 1, Oregon, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31996. Please utilize this job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find 2 tow hooks. Moving up onto the bumper itself, on the passenger side, you'll find your PA electronic siren. Moving just inward of that location on the passenger and driver side, you'll find dual air horns. And moving all the way over to the driver's side bumper, you'll find your mechanical siren. Moving up into the bumper area, you will find a tubbed storage location for hose. And then moving just to the right of that location, you'll find your swivel 1.5" discharge. Moving up onto the body, you'll find your turn indicators and marker lights. And moving inward, you'll find your headlight cluster. The low beam headlight is on the outside, and on the intersection will be the high beams. Moving up to the next cluster, you'll find your turn indicator and emergency warning light. Moving up onto the windshield area, you'll find 3 windshield wipers, in addition with your seamless one-piece windshield. All the way up to the brow, you'll find 5 running lights, and at the very top, you'll find your forward-facing floodlight. And then all the way up onto the roof itself, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. And over the driver's section, you'll find your opticom. Let's take a look from the side perspective. On the side, you'll find on the right and left front bumper, you'll find a winch attachment or attachment point that is up to 10,000 pounds of pull. You'll also find just above that a side-facing emergency warning light, and then also just up from that your marker light. Let's take a look at some close-ups here. Tub storage area with Velcro hold downs. Your foam discharge water. This is going to be your front discharge 1.5". This is the 10,000 pound maximum allowable winch rating. It's on the passenger and driver side front bumper. Close up here of the electronic siren and also your mechanical siren. Let's go ahead and move up to the very top. This is going to be your forward-facing floodlight, and then also on the right-hand side, this is your opticom. A couple images of some logos here for you. On the side of the apparatus, driver's side, you'll find your shoreline inlet. This is a 120 VAC 20 amp plug. We're on the side of the pump panel now. I'd like to point out some warning indicators. First, this is a warning indicator regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards when removing while under pressure. There's also a warning label here while falling or riding on the side of the apparatus. Let's start on the left-hand side with discharge number 1. It's the red in color and it's a 2.5 inch. Just below that, we'll find discharge number 3, bluish purple in color, and in large, you'll find the American flag Eagle Pierce logo, large diameter intake. Moving down to the bottom, you'll find your foam draft inlet. You'll also find a warning label underneath that indicating not to mix foam percentages or batch types. As we look underneath, this will be your pickup tube or inlet for your foam fill. Moving all the way to the right, this is your auxiliary driver's side 2.5 inch inlet. And at the very bottom, you'll find the color-coded labeled associated drains. Let's move all the way down to the bottom. You can see underneath your apparatus, hard to see in this image, but your pump area is enclosed. Here are close-ups of those. Once again, driver's side has discharges that are in the odd numbers, 1 and 3. Passenger side will have even numbers. We'll go ahead and look just up from this location. This is going to be your hose location. Because hose is coming out of this location, there is a warning label regarding entanglement of that hose.
This is going to be your number 1 crosslay. It is foam water capable. As we move to the right, you'll find your number 2 crosslay. It is also foam water capable. The latch in the center simply just is lifted to allow those crosslays to be pulled out and loaded on ground level. Up from that location, you'll find your diamond plate pan door. Behind that, you'll find access for tools and equipment. It's the same access door on the passenger side. Let's move up to the body itself, and we're looking now at the water tank indicator level. You'll also find on both the passenger and driver side, you have a telescoping side-facing flood. Quick image of the pump panel, we'll discuss that in detail. We'll start in the upper left-hand corner with all of the gauges, but first let's talk about this light. If illuminated, it's indicating that your pump is properly engaged. Starting on the left, you have your panel gauge heater. Moving to the right is your water tank indicator in blue. You also have a full spectrum of gauges and warning and check engine lights. I'll discuss those. First, in the upper left-hand corner, you have your oil pressure. Moving to the right, water temperature. Moving down, if illuminated in red, this will indicate stop engine. It will light up in the red color. And in the center, you'll find your RPM tachometer. And moving to the right, you'll find an amber check engine light. Moving down to the lower corner of this gray section, you're going to find a voltage meter. And then you'll also find a check transmission. This is an amber light if lit. Let's move over to the other section, the gray area. This is your master intake. Moving to the right, you'll find your master discharge. Just beneath the 2 large gauges, you'll find your test gauge ports. This is for vacuum and pressure. And in the upper right-hand side of the silver area or brushed aluminum, you will find the PCM fault. It's indicating in amber, and then there's an audible alarm next to it. Those are some close-ups of those areas we just talked about. You can see in this next image the black circular item. That's going to be your audible alarm on the far right. Let's take a look at the pump panel itself. You can find across clearly indicated discharges labeled and color-coded. In the center, you'll find your foam system instructions and also your Husky foam system specifications. The arrows indicating currently at the driver rear discharge. As you can see, they're in red, so that means they are foam capable. On the right in the green section, this is your foam level indicator, and then your control panel in red for the Husky foam system. Down in the lower right corner, you'll find your intake relief valve. It is adjustable, negative decreases and positive would increase. As we move down to the next section, you'll find your tank refill and recirculating line, and also your tank to pump. As we move to the right, you'll find your discharge relief valve, and there's also a remove to clean. This is a turn for your strainer removal, and then an on and off selector down at the very bottom. Your throttle is located with a warning light. Moving to the right, you have your primary instructions here. For priming, you had to be at least 1,000 RPMs, and your discharge rear discharge, and also your deluge discharge. Down at the very bottom, your vehicle is equipped with 2 electronic valves, one for number 2 discharge, and also for your offside large diameter passenger side discharge. We'll talk about those a little later on. On the left, this is your maintenance schedule, 150, 200, 250, the associated RPMs with that test schedule. Also a warning label that only trained personnel should operate this equipment, an indication now for your primer drain, and then all the associated drains below that. Close up here of a couple of your items. This is once again the minimum pump schedule, 150, 200, and 250 psi, and then your associated drains beneath that. Beside the pan door, you'll find your manual pump shift, and then in the yellow handle, instructions here for your foam lever. Let's move to the side of the apparatus in the same general vicinity. We'll find some LED lighting and also some switches. First at the top, you're going to find your driver's side flood. It's a rocker switch indicating in green when it's on. Your passenger side flood. These are the 2 telescoping lights at the rear of the cab. And then at the very bottom, you'll find your air horn in red. And the 3 covers are for future switches if you need. Also on the side of the apparatus, you'll find your blue fill location for your DEF. This is a 4.5 gallon tank. And then also your ultra low sulfur diesel fuel tank, which is a silver cap. Moving up midsection of your cab area, of the body area, you'll find this compartment just above the rear tire. There is a latch on the right to open it to allow it to swing out. Once it's open, there is also a safety mechanism to allow it to restore back to its original position. You have wheel chocks on the rear section of your apparatus. Located on the rear section, you also have an additional winch or attachment point, 10,000 pounds again. And as we look into the rear compartment, you can see two shelves. One is a pull-out drop-down, and the other is a complete pull-out. We're to the rear section of the apparatus now. We have your brake, turn, and reverse lights. You'll also find emergency warning lights located in the very rear. And as we move through some of the items here, we'll point out side ladder. There is some instructions on the side of the ladder. Be careful for pinch, and also a cupped on-off switch for your rear floods. You also have emergency warning lights and also floodlights, but let's go ahead and talk about some of the pan style doors in the very back. First, this compartment indicating now is for your ground ladders, and then just up from that location you have a folding ladder and also some storage locations. We'll go ahead and break those down as we have individual pictures for each one of those. There are significant grab handles here for gaining access aloft onto the top of the vehicle for your safety. And as we look at the very bottom, for your safety also per NFPA, there is perimeter lighting and also in the center a tow hitch. This is your rear scene light. At the very top, you'll find your 10-foot folding ladder and two locations for long tool storage. Moving to the right, you're going to find a discharge on the left-hand side and also a discharge on the right. 1.5 and 2.5. Your ladders are a 24-foot extension ladder and a 14-foot roof ladder. You also have additional storage. This is near the ladder rack area. As we look higher up above, you'll find storage locations for your drafting tubes. You have a fully enclosed hose bed. You'll also find around the perimeter of the apparatus, you'll find these yellow illuminating indicators regarding for your safety so that you don't step off. And you also have two lights, one for the hose bed and one for the dunnage area. Inside the dunnage area, you'll find your water fill location. You'll also find in the same vicinity your foam tank A fill, and also a warning label here not to mix those two types. As we look in the dunnage area on the right hand side, you'll see the blue tape that's covering your large diameter discharge for your deluge. And on the left hand side here, this is your hydraulic pump. This is for your foam hydraulic oil fill reservoir. That is the black cap located at the top of the image. As we look to the cab area, you will find warning labels regarding stepping on the cab area. As we see, looking from the front to the back, you can see the perimeter indicator tape. And as we move to the very rear section of your apparatus, you can see that there is an adjustable shelf and a pull-out shelf with LED lighting. We're now around to the passenger side rear. You'll see two adjustable shelves in this location. As we move forward or just below this area, you'll find your winch attachment point, and it is clearly marked with the amount of rating. I would like to point out that this is the location of your diesel exhaust. There is a warning label here regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures and to be cautious as to where you park your vehicle. We'll move up from this location to the pan style door. This is going to hold your 3 SCBA bottles. There are also 3 retaining straps. Moving forward to that location, an additional 3 and also retaining straps. Let's move forward now to the long compartment. This is directly over the rear wheel. You can see there's a adjustable shelf within this compartment, and there are 3 adjustable shelves within the next forward compartment. As we move forward, you'll find in the pump panel area, this is your cab lift. There are instructions on here how to operate that. Moving to the right, the Pierce logo with the American flag eagle, large diameter intake. Up to the very top, once again, a warning label regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards when removing them under pressure. And as the right, you'll see a large diameter discharge. This is going to be your 2.5-inch discharge. Just beneath it's the large diameter. The orange, because you have an electronic valve, this is the override for that, which requires the tool. Once again, down in the very bottom section, large diameter discharge, and there is an override for that. This is the discharge. It is green color. Moving all the way to the far left, 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. And then as we move down to the very bottom, you'll find your associated drains for each of those. Let's go over the cab lifting instructions. First, to raise the cab, there are instructions here 1 through 8, and then to lower the cab 1 through 10. This is a close-up here of number 2 side discharge and the override associated with it. Your passenger side auxiliary inlet. And then the associated drains below, manifold relief valve drain and manifold drain again. Similar to the other side, it's the same layout for the cross lays. They can be accessed from the driver's side or the passenger side. Same layout here with just above those cross lays for equipment or hose storage through this compartment door. Let's go ahead and look to the cab now. As we look at the cab section, you'll find this is the adjustable light. You can see the turn knob here. There's also one at the very bottom for tensioning. That is for tightening once you've raised it in a specific location. You also have your tank indicator here for the amount of water in your water tank. Looking inside the cab, you can see you have 2 rear-facing SCBA seats, and in the center you have a large compartment with a roll-up door, LED lights inside, and also a shelf. Overhead, you'll find your push-on, push-off red and white lights, and also your air conditioning unit. In the front section, the officer seat, you'll find one at the very base, a mechanical siren. Just up from this location on the same side is you'll find the fill for your windshield wiper. Let's move to the dash area. Same location, you'll find at the top a siren brake, and then you'll find 2 barrel style 12-volt access points. In the center of the apparatus, you'll find this red puck style light. There is a warning label here not to move your apparatus. This will illuminate when you have a compartment door or any other compartment open, indicating in red that you should not move your apparatus. Located also in the vicinity of the operator, you'll find this Pierce seatbelt information. As you can see, the red light indicating that the front officer seat is occupied, but they are not belted because they are in red. Had they been occupied and belted, it would show in green. Let's move to the cab driver's side. First, on the door itself, you'll find warning and hazard labels. As you move down to the foot level around the right foot, you'll find exhaust and also warning labels. And then you'll also find at the very top, this is information here regarding your braking system. Let's go ahead and talk in the very first step. You'll find your air inlet. There is a light just above that. That's in your step area. And as you move about waist high, this will be your voltage indicator when plugged into shore power for your battery tender. You have mechanical siren and air horn foot pedals on the left side. Moving up from that location, you'll find the silver master battery switch. You'll also find your engine, transmission, and ABS diagnostic port and all of your regen information below that. Located on this yellow placard, you will find your VIN number, gross vehicle weight ratings, job number, date of manufacture, and all of the associated fluids within your apparatus. On the left in the dash area, ignition and start. Moving further to the right, you'll find the emergency master for your emergency lights, your headlights for parking and headlight, and also a panel rocker switch for brightening and dimming the panel lights. On the steering wheel, you'll find your telescoping and tilt for your steering column and also turn indicators. Looking at the dash, we'll start first on the left-hand side with your transmission temperature, DEF level, oil temperature, water temperature. You can see the 2 large gauges for your tachometer, miles per hour, volts, fuel, and front and rear air, and also informational diagnostic information that will display above and below the speedometer. On the right, you have your main mirror and convex mirror controls. In the yellow, you have your pull to apply your system parking brake, push to release. and on the right you'll find your Allison transmission pad. Moving just up from this location, on the right hand side you'll find your windshield wiper control and push for wash. You also have switches here. One stationary is an indicator. It is okay to pump if illuminated. You have your water pump and also your foam system switch. Also 3 future switches. Moving up from that location, or just below that location, you'll find your engine brake on off, your engine brake low, medium, and high setting. You have a mirror heat, a load manager, differential lock on and off. It is a protected switch, and also your differential lock activated indicator. As we look to the windshield wiper wash, just to the right of that, you'll find your climate control. We'll go ahead and start overhead of the driver's seat. Let's start first with the yellow placard. This is the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating of your vehicle. It also contains your job number, also found on the placard by the seat. 10 feet 1 inch, 30 feet 9.5 inches, and 45,000 pounds. Looking just to the right of this location, we'll find your emergency master, your front flood, driver's side flood, passenger side flood, rear flood, and all of your perimeter lights. These are individual rockers. When they are activated, they will indicate in green that they are on. Let's move to the right. You'll find your Wayland control. This is for your siren and also PA control. There is a mic volume, and also in the container on the right, you can see this is the location of your microphone. We'll move just slightly to the right of this location. We'll find an additional set of switches. First, you have a siren horn. That's a selector switch for selecting which one you would like to utilize. And then in red, you have for your mechanical siren, this is your siren brake. There are also 3 future switch locations, and on the far right, this is the control for your Opticom. On the A pillar, driver's side, is where you'll find your VIN number also attached on the A pillar. Moving to the rear section of the cab, looking forward, you'll find this access panel to gain access to do your daily checks for oil and transmission checks. There is also a light inside this compartment. To the rear section, you'll find roll-up door with an adjustable shelf and LED lighting. As we look to the very top, you have a block for 12-volt access here. Congratulations, Klamath County Fire District Number 1, Oregon, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31996. If you have any questions as to the content of this video, please contact your sales representative for Hughes Fire Equipment. Thank you.